Usually I don't do the video podcast thing, but since
Oh,
we have
okay.
such nice quality today, perhaps that is an option, and I'm certainly recording. So
Awesome.
we can try that as well. Well,
Excuse
thank you
me.
guys so much for being here, for joining me.
Super excited to
Yeah.
get to. When you reached out about it, I was like, "Oh yeah. Dude, that'd be awesome. Get to hang with Brad for a little bit. Chat
Nice.
ukulele."
Yeah, should be fun. Are you guys recording audio on your
I
side?
just started. Yep.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's how I like to do it, but I know I don't have to worry about you guys. You have like top of the tech food chain.
Just enough to be dangerous. That's
Yeah. Da, da, da.
Yes.
Awesome. So what are you guys up to? What's new? You just did the Maui thing, which was a major success. And
and thank
Oh,
you again for kind of being such a great resource to ask
yes.
questions
of
and being a part
course.
of it as well. Thank you so much, Brad.
Yes, seriously. Yeah, because that
Yeah,
was
of course.
definitely like a massive undertaking, and we had such a short amount of time to put it together. So it was just like, okay, let's just, luckily Craig gave us a little bit of time because I was thinking we need to do it now. And Craig was like, no, 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 you should hold off a little bit so that, because with the news cycle and stuff, it's like, let's give it a little bit more time. And also, research a little bit more like who it would benefit and
Yeah.
stuff so that we could really make sure that and we chose Maui Food Bank because they are there in the trenches
Mhm.
doing it, and it yeah, they're doing amazing work, and they're helping everyone on the island, farmers as well as individuals, and it's yeah,
Yeah.
Wonderful. And how
intense.
much did you guys end up sending their way?
Just shy over $135,000, and
That's
then
so
we
wonderful.
also sent $40,000 to the Maui Strong. No, 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 not Maui Strong. I'm so sorry. $40,000 went to the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement, Kako'o Fund, that Maui fund, and then we sent another 6,000 to the Maui Strong Fund. That was from Steve Grimes Uke that sold at auction.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys so
Yeah.
much for putting all that together. Is there still a chance for people to donate through what you're doing, or is that passed and they should just donate directly?
So at this point,
Yeah.
donate directly. We'll probably do a follow up because again, as you know, like once things are out of the news cycle, it's everything slows down. So
Mhm.
our goal is to do another event a little bit later and like a follow up. Explain where money has been going,
Mhm.
what the needs are currently at that time, and hopefully we'll get another big push. But at this point. We realize there's power in numbers of doing things at
Mhm.
once, right? So we don't necessarily want to just say, oh, keep contributing to this. We want to be able to say, contribute if you want directly, but we'll try to do another big group effort kind of thing down the road so that we can all come together
Yeah.
again for
And
that.
I do want to point out too that 135,000, like all of this money that I'm talking about, it didn't only come from Craig and I. Like this was an effort. So we had our concert, that
Mhm.
Music and Meals for Maui that you were a part of. There was also a online silent auction that was hosted by the Ukulele site. Our nonprofit Four Strings at a Time was a fiscal sponsor, which is why we are the ones that are giving the funds out. But a huge thank you to all of the amazing luthiers that have been
Yeah.
donating instruments. I know Andrew's planning on a few more instruments going to Maui that we will be helping handle. So there will be more auction items coming. And just it was players, it was retailers, it was luthiers, it was clubs. It's encompassed the whole community, and that's something that I am truly proud of. The fact that yes, Craig and I got to be vehicles to kind of get this thing going and push it, but it really took everyone, not just
But
us.
what I love about this event too is that it really was that kind of grassroots.
Yeah.
Like again, like you had professional players like Jake,
Mhm.
and Brian, guys that came down, and you also had clubs that were raising money, gigging out on the streets and then donating it during
The live
the
stream.
live stream. It was just amazing to see all that, and I love that we did. I mean, I love having the auction, but again, the auction is like, 15 people get to
It's true.
participate
It's
kind of thing.
true.
But allowing those who have the means to help,
Hmm.
and then having the live stream where people are donating like $5 or $10 at a time, which
Every bit
added up
helps.
so quickly, and it was amazing. So that was so cool to have the whole spectrum
Yeah.
of support.
Yep.
Well, huge kudos to you guys, and I certainly look
Thanks.
forward to kind of an add-on event that'll follow that up, because as you folks obviously have got in your heads, it's going to be a long road, and whatever. It's
Yeah.
good to
Yeah.
keep it kind of front and center for as long as we can, I think, as opposed to,
Yeah.
because we can counteract that news cycle that has all but
Yep.
forgotten
Yes.
it by now. So
Well, and honestly, this is something that, I mean, you understand and know that this is going to be years of recovery. Like there's no fast fix for rebuilding a whole city. So, yeah.
And interesting enough, though, like at this point too, it is amazing to see the ukulele being a tool for recovery
And
and
healing.
healing. Yeah, I did not expect to see that so just already popping up, and the great work that Jason is doing down there, and the great work that
Oh yeah, Jason Jerome
yeah, I
of
mean,
Lahaina
a
Music.
lot of them are using music and using the ukulele
Mm-hmm.
in such great ways for people who are going through so much, not only rebuilding their physical, houses and storefronts and businesses, but rebuilding their themselves.
Yeah.
So it's
Yep.
amazing to again, we because we get it, like
Mhm.
anyone who has music part of their lives understand how big of an impact it can have, and to see that being used right away for recovery has been absolutely incredible. So I know there's more ways that we can help, and I know there's more ways for us to get involved, and even if we can't, we don't have the know-how to rebuild a house or,
Right.
or a building, but we can help on the other side of it for
Yeah.
sure.
what are you guys up to now that has kind of, the dust has settled from that? You have anything interesting going on?
Well, I mean,
It's hard to
you
top
probably, I was like, you probably know we have like a lot of sticks in the fire, right? Or I forget how the phrase goes, but Craig, did you want to be on camera at all for this?
Well, I gotta say, first of all, I'm sorry for it. We have a little bit of a cough. We've been
We both
trying
do.
to figure out how to evade all the plagues that Cameron is bringing home with him from preschool.
Our 3-year-old.
It's tricky.
It's rough. It's so rough.
Every week, a new plague comes through the house.
So I apologize for sounding a little bit hoarser than normal. And there's some crazy winds going on too. So if you hear like chunks
Whistling.
of trees falling on the roof, or
we've got the rain here finally, which is,
oh my
it's
gosh,
like not good for podcasting, but it's so needed.
Right?
Yeah, that's
and
true.
like, but yeah, the house was shaking. It was just like, and we we spent the morning cleaning up and outside, because it's just, there's stuff everywhere. So it's super, super windy today. So that's also why you might see me kind of go, oh, what was that?
Yeah, but I think we can talk a little bit about 4 strings at a time.
Oh yeah. So we actually, crazily enough, we turned in all of our paperwork to the IRS on August 8th, a date that will live in infamy for the islands. It was the date that the fires began here, at least not here, but on Maui. We turned in all of our paperwork to the IRS. And because we had turned the paperwork in, though we don't have our 501c3 status yet, or 501c3 status yet, we were still able to help put things on because it's retroactive once you receive your status. So that's why we were able to do what we did. And so we're still waiting on the final yes. I feel pretty confident that we will get it. So I'm not too worried about that. But our new nonprofit is called 4 Strings at a Time. We have a lot of big plans for the future for it. But basically, our focus is really engaging, educating, and enriching just people of all ages around the world through music and the ukulele. And with that, the ukulele encompasses more than just the instrument. It also encompasses Hawaii and the culture here. And so something that we think is very important to our mission is making sure that people understand the instrument's history, if and they understand many clubs play songs from here, and being able to, really educate them on what are the songs about, how do you pronounce the songs, how do you really play the songs, because sometimes, as it's kind of like a game of telephone. Some songs kind of change and some minor chords get added that aren't traditionally there, but just good for them to know, right? Like where these songs come from. The history and the stories are very important. I mean,
Hmm.
the fact that, it was all oral history for so long. And it just, again, very important. And that's part of our mission with that.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you for doing that. How have you found being in Hawaii, is Sarah? Because you're not from here originally, as far as I know. And
Nope.
how has it changed your perspective as an ukulele player?
Moving here and living here, I feel a deeper need to become more educated myself and to be, I don't know, I have this feeling where even though I am not of these islands, when we leave, I need to make sure that I represent this place well, and that's part of why education is so important to me, is just making sure that I do things correctly. I respect this place and this land, even more so now that I live here. And to me, that's just something that's I feel very, very strongly about, and kind of spearheads how I look at things and do things here, and also how we're raising Cameron, our son. We make sure you go to the beach, you make sure you take time to clean up. You see trash in the park, you pick it up. You take care of the land and you take care of this place because it's very special. So I feel for myself, because of being with Craig, someone who is from here, and being friends with so many amazing people, including folks who are Native. I feel the transition for me has been probably easier than for some, because I can ask questions and I can be educated very quickly on things because of the friends that we have, and I'm very, very grateful.
So,
Yeah.
and so Craig has been like the steward, helping you figure all this out and navigate it a little bit.
No, not really. In a sense where, like, for example, like, I mean, Sarah has took it upon herself to like, what app are you using right
Oh
now?
yeah. Oh, Duolingo. But
But
I've been working on Olelo Hawaii because it's important to be able to pronounce things correctly, and to be able, and I've worked with Lena and
mhm,
Lena girl, Hale Hakusibari has been really, really helpful. Kama Hopkins,
yeah.
like people helping me to make sure that, I pronounce things correctly and I do things
But
that are
again, this is not,
correct.
something that anyone told Sarah to do. But and again, as tired and as busy as we are, she still does like 15-20 minutes every single night. I mean, that's how important it is for Sarah, and for me as well. It's, you know part of the responsibility that I felt, that I had, and this is even when I first met Sarah. Like, when this kind of shaped my career a lot, in the sense where when I was lucky enough to kind of jump into the ukulele circuit a little bit early in my career, and I got to meet Herb Alter Jr. in Australia, Cairns, Australia, for their big ukulele festival there. Um, he asked me if I wanted to join him, and I was like, "Oh yeah, what's going on?" Because there's all these big performances all around, and all these events and radio interviews and TV spots. And he's like, "No, no, come, I'm gonna go, play for the hospital." I'm like, "Oh wow, that sounds great." And so I went, and I was talking to the festival head on the way down, and she's like, "Yeah, this was Herb said he do the event, but we had to make sure we had time to play for people at the hospital." And he said, you know, no publicizing that part of it at all. No, no photos or TV. And seeing him play and give his time and talents, and it was such a big pivotal moment for me to showcase how much we can do with this instrument. You know, it wasn't just about the performing, it wasn't just about, you know, the teaching, and it completely changed my mindset at that point. And luckily it was early in my career where I saw that right away. And you know, because a lot of times when we're starting something new like that, we feel like we have to like keep pushing hard and you know, get to that main stage quicker and all that kind of stuff. And this was such a big moment. And uh part of my responsibility from then on too was, you know, realizing that I am not the best ukulele player or the best ukulele teacher, but I was lucky enough that this ukulele took me around the world. It introduced me to my now future wife. We have a child because of the ukulele. And I always wanted to give opportunities to people from Hawaii that never got a chance to experience the things that I got to. So, you know, we used to, even in San Diego, we used to, you know, loan out our car to ukulele people coming up and doing tours, and you know, taking that expense out of the equation for them, or hosting them and helping them connect with you know, a lot of the events that we used to do. So moving down here, you know, we still, you know, have that goal and that responsibility, and to help showcase the amazing talent that's here that a lot of people don't get a chance to see. So I mean, that's a big reason why we started the Backyard Concert Series, is not only to showcase, you know, the top talent here, but also the up and coming artists. And we're, you know, with the nonprofit side as well, there's going to be a lot more opportunities that we're trying to create, to again feature the amazing talent, that a lot of artists have here, but just for whatever reason have never been given those opportunities to play out past, just being here in Hawaii.
Nice. So who are some talented up and coming artists that you guys are excited about?
Oh my
Because
God.
I'm super out of the loop, and also my girlfriend is always asking like, why aren't there more women ukulele players? So
Yes.
specifically, Sarah, who are you most excited about on that side? Who's really kicking it, and you know, who do we watch out for?
Honestly, as far as okay, ukulele ladies, there's so many wonderful ones, but there are some that I feel like they are known here, but they need to be more worldwide. And one of them I feel is Ryatea Helm. She is phenomenal. She is very well known here, but I feel like on the mainland and in Europe and in England, like she should go out. Or I'm sure that she has to have been invited by places, but I'm just like, I want to see her go out, and I want to see her go and share, because she has so much to share. Yes, she might be doing mostly strumming, but just the knowledge that she has and the history and the culture and everything, like, that should be shared. As far as like somebody who's like all up and down the fretboard, I'm sorry, but Carly G needs to get out there. She is so phenomenal. And like she's young, she's a fantastic songwriter. I want to see her pushing out and going out. She's in school right now. That's why she's not. But like, you know, Craig and I have told her, like, you let us know, at least ukulele circuit wise, we can help. But I feel like she's somebody that could do, you know, larger venues and stuff, because she's so massively talented in many different facets, not just her fantastic playing. Um, who else, Craig? Because I know there's like, I can think of like Kala'e Camarillo, you probably know, right? That's another person that's like, I want him to travel. I want him to go places. He has so much to share, and his family's legacy of education is also like,
Well, even, I mean, we're going back to the ladies, we have Jiggy, with
oh,
Biggie
Jiggy
as
with, yeah,
well.
yeah.
I mean, she is super talented.
Super talented.
Um,
She's on the mainland, if I remember right.
and we have, again, like Honaka is doing amazing things,
Yep.
and branching out from her comfort zone as well by doing more singing.
Yep. And writing.
Yeah. So I mean, there's again, I feel we were lucky when you and I
Mhm.
first kind of branched out into the circuit.
Yeah.
It just gave us again, so many opportunities to hone our craft.
Yeah.
So again, and it's sad because after the pandemic, there's a lot of events that kind of folded up.
Yeah.
So again, that's why it's important for us to kind of help create those opportunities.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Anthony Floop
Oh, dude, that guy.
was such an amazing surprise, and he was recommended by
By
Kalae,
Kalae.
and so he was featured in the music for and meals for Maui. But he is gonna be a rock star. That guy is awesome.
He like his performance, because I think he's still doing Hawaiian studies right now. But I had chicken skin during his performance. Like it was just one of those things where I was like, oh, this is really, really special.
Yeah.
And like, it just, yeah, he embodies an old soul, I feel, with just how he is. Even though he's really young, but he has that old soul feeling that is really special.
Well, you have Kalae and Corey now traveling more because of Anuenue.
All right.
And they're gonna shake up the festival scene for sure. I mean,
Hopefully.
yeah, that's gonna be fantastic.
Because many people know Kalae because he's been doing stuff for a while. But if it's him and Corey, it's like a whole other level of just like,
Well, that's always surprised me about Corey is he's just insane. He's just you know, at a whole nother level, and he just sits in the shop and he plays for Andrew's cameras, and like that's the end of the story. Like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, gotta respect that humble nature.
Yeah, they just came up with us to the LA Ukulele Festival, and you know, I loved seeing Corey's face, because a lot of people were coming up to him and saying, "Oh, we've been watching you play for years, and you know, thank you so much." And he was just blown away by the support, because again, unless you get out there, you don't know, you know, who's watching you and your impact. And he's had such a big impact on people, so it was really neat to see him realize that for the first time.
Yeah, he's touched a lot of lives and he doesn't even know it.
Yep.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned cans. I just got a new student who is Maori and lives in Australia now. She told me it's like sardine cans, but even though it reads very differently, sardine cans. Okay, I got it.
I like that.
But she said that that's where you folks first met. Would you relay that story? And then I believe in the timeline that we kind of first met at Elaine's thing down in Puna shortly thereafter, I think. But please correct me.
Here's the timeline. So Craig and I were both getting instruments made by a man named Michael Da Silva in Berkeley. I, at the time, was playing low G. I was asking Michael, hey, I'm trying to find an unwound low G that isn't too floppy. Do you have any ideas? He said, oh, I know this guy. His name is Craig Chi. Why don't you contact him? I emailed Craig, and Craig very kindly mailed me some PhD strings by Jason Arimoto. And I was like, great, thank you so much. Random person I do not know. Then we actually met face to face in LA at the NAMM show, because Craig lived in Oregon and I lived in San Diego. So we met in LA. We liked each other, but it wasn't like oh, that's gonna be my husband. It was just like, oh yeah, you're cool. Oh, you play great. Okay, awesome. And then we parted, but Gabby from Cannes, who used to run that festival, actually hired me to do the festival. He was going to be there. So then I think
no, that's not the timeline. So
what
timeline was after we got introduced, I was actually starting to put together an ukulele cruise.
Oh, that was before?
Yeah.
I thought, okay.
And because so I reached out, and we realized that year we were doing a lot of domestic work together.
And the international, because we did Cannes that same year. Because that was the year Gabby was at NAMM. We had a lot of gigs to do together.
Yeah, so a lot of it was, you know, oh, we should collaborate a bit, and you know, it just we might as well, maximize our time in all these
Yeah.
different places, and it was fantastic. And because Gabby, I helped bring Sarah down for the Australia, and Sarah helped bring me up to the UK.
Yeah, that same year, I think. But that was also the same year as Elaine. No, Elaine Zing was the next year. That's where we met you, Brad.
Yeah.
And Craig and I had like just started dating when you met us. So in Cairns, we weren't dating yet. People were asking Craig about his girlfriend and his wife. Both Craig and I were laughing that off while we were in Cairns, saying, Psh, there's no way.
We're laughing because we're like, oh yeah, look at these idiots that are dating in the same,
Yeah, it's like,
oh, they're so dumb.
That's
so never
dumb.
Gonna work.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I don't like you like that. And then we had worked together for a year, and then something switched, and then we started dating, and then that event was the first event, the one on Big Island was the first event where we were actually like officially an item, if I remember right.
Or was it Florida?
Now I don't remember, like timeline wise.
I remember like people like freaking out, like,
oh no, Florida was later, because that's in November.
Oh,
and
yeah,
this
yeah,
one
yeah,
was
yeah.
earlier.
Yeah.
I loved that, by the way. Like big, like where was that? Pune, you said?
Yeah, what is that? Kalani? Was that the place?
It was so beautiful. Like I just remember, and that was my first time ever in Hawaii. And it was just like, holy moly, this is amazing. Yeah. And I know the Koki frogs bother a lot of people, but I actually really liked them. But they are pretty obnoxious. But it was
they get
very
loud.
neat to be sleeping and hearing all of the little. It was super cool.
They're coming for you guys. Just you
wait.
wait.
I know. They're going to hop on this island. Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun. Thank you for the fill-in.
Craig did actually get my engagement ring in Cairns. So I think do we do Cairns 2 years in a row, Craig, or we just did it once and then you went and got the ring? I don't remember now.
I don't know.
But he was invited. I was not, which was totally fine. He went back, I think, to actually be a photographer more so than to do performance. I think you still did some.
I think it was mainly workshops and photography.
And so he went, and that's where he got my engagement ring. And then he came home, and he was going to wait because we were supposed to do a cruise with his whole family, but it was burning a hole in his pocket, and he couldn't wait. So then, and it was funny because he was acting all weird. I was like, he came home from Australia, and I was like, I'm so happy to see you. It's been so long. And he was just like, hi, I'll be right back. I'm like, what is going on? How come he's being so evasive? What happened in Australia? And then eventually he couldn't handle it. Then it was very sweet, but it was so funny because it definitely was burning a hole in his pocket.
That's funny. So how has that been for you guys? I mean, you mentioned how people were like naysaying at first, but that dynamic of you both being in the same exact industry and certainly like working together kind of as a unit. I mean, for me personally, I'm kind of a quiet guy. I think that would be an interesting thing for me to navigate with my partner.
It has completely changed our trajectory, I think, because it allowed us to do so many different things. And having and I think the reason why Sarah and I really bonded, I think, was our work ethic is very compatible. Because there's a lot of people who have all these ideas and want to do things, but they never follow through. And both of us just, if we say something, we're just gonna do it.
I'm very much of the like ilk of, well, I said I'd do it, so I better do it.
Yeah. So I mean, again, it allowed us to collaborate in so many different ways, whether it was from the teaching standpoint, how we could, teach things in a more efficient manner, compared, and then even considering like the events, having two people to, with fresh eyes, kind of gauge things and create things. I mean, I don't think we could have done nearly nearly as much of the things that we've done throughout our career so far if it hasn't been for having two of us.
Yeah, if I was by myself, I wouldn't have been. There's no way, because I mean, if you think about all of the things that we do, so we run events, we do monthly live stream workshops, we had our backyard concert series, we also do our online school with Artist Works, and like I couldn't do that alone. There's no way. And so with how things are and with how both of us work, it's been it's a very good partnership, because there's certain tasks that I enjoy doing and I am good at. Like, I'm the one that does all of our written materials. I'm the one that does all of the a lot of the sort of back end paperwork and businessy stuff, right? Where Craig, of course, is the one that's got all the camera, all the audio. He's got all of that kind of dialed in, and he does all of that. Sometimes it makes things difficult because I'm not near as comfortable behind the camera. So, sometimes there's learning curves where Craig's like, well, you need to film me, and don't what do you mean you don't remember how this camera does? I'm like, but I used a different camera last time. So, but generally speaking, the way that we have things divvied up allows us to be able to do so much, because again, both of our work ethics of, we said we do X, so we got to do X.
But even looking at like our musicality and having different backgrounds has been incredible to kind of mix that together as well. So I really feel like we're just very, very fortunate that everything lined up as it did.
Yeah. And honestly, it was so crazy during the pandemic. Like, Craig and I have been around each other pretty much 24/7 since 2014, I think. And like, so for us, the pandemic was like, oh, it's just another day. Like, it wasn't really like some of our friends like broke up and stuff. And I'm like, well, this is how we've always lived our lives, like constantly together. That's just what we do. So I can't imagine it any other way, to be quite honest. And just, yeah.
Oh, that's great. So you mentioned the Artist Works and stuff. What is your day-to-day? Are you teaching like Zoom lessons, or is it all events and Artist Works kind of spread out across time, I guess?
So the way that Artist Works, that whole program works, is that we have a series of pre-recorded lessons, and we actually add to these pre-recorded lessons. We're due for a big update, because I've got some practical music theory for ukulele stuff that I need to put up. But so we have all these pre-recorded lessons. Students, when you subscribe to Artist Works, you can view every single lesson from beginning to advanced, and you have access to all the backing tracks and all of the written material that we've created for the course, and continue to create. And anytime you have a question or a concern, or you just want to show us your progress, excuse me, you submit a video to us, and then we watch the video, and then we submit a video back to you. And the great thing about this is that everybody who is a part of our ukulele school can watch said videos. So you'll probably ask a question that somebody else might have wondered, I wondered about that. And then all of a sudden you get to see someone's private session, basically. So the way our kind of day-to-day stuff is that we try to do it like every 3 to 4 days. We'll check in and see what our queue is. And then we'll go through and we'll do a series of videos. I think we tend to have like 9 to 10. I think we have like, what, 10 a week, you think, Craig, that we do? And the answers range between 5 minutes to 10 minutes usually. And we just will listen, we'll look at what you're doing. And some people even submit songs that aren't in our curriculum. So then that usually takes us a little bit more time to answer, because we need to.
Yeah, most, because the library keeps growing from these video exchanges.
Yeah.
I feel like we're doing less answering from the lessons because everyone's watching like these other replies that answered them perfectly. But we are seeing now more people putting submissions about like, I'm working on this song. How would you arrange it differently? That kind of stuff, which is really cool. I mean, that again it's like the best of private lessons but you get to go through this at your own pace.
Yeah. In your pajamas.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. I mean, you know.
Yeah, and from a teacher standpoint, like, as you know, like, you can only do so many private lessons in a day without like getting burnt out. I mean, it's hard because you invest so much into it, and it's not just that hour with them. It's
Prep
really
time.
prep time, and taking all of that extra energy and focusing on how you're going to teach that one individual who learns differently than the next person, and so there's a lot that goes into it. So we're very fortunate for ArtistWorks because it gave us the opportunity to still kind of have that one-on-one, but being able to put the whole curriculum out and have people go through it, was a game changer for sure.
Nice. That's wonderful, because I feel like people are really hung up on private lessons, but
Yeah.
there's a lot that we already offer that can be real. To me, it's like it's more for your money. Like if you get one of the courses or you join on ArtistWorks, you can get a lot more out of it, as opposed to that private lesson that is comparatively very expensive.
Yeah.
And that private lesson, maybe we can work on that stuff and take it further and personalize it more. So that's wonderful that you've got a way to kind of maximize that value for folks.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm always just amazed at you get the students who get really, they submit regularly. And the great thing is they have this catalog of videos that they can actually see that growth.
Yeah.
Right? They can go back and watch their very first submission and be like, wow, look at that. And then, because a lot of times you'll be practicing and then you'll plateau. No matter what skill level you are, I plateau. And it's like, oh man, you can't see the progress because you don't have the reference. But this is great because you have this reference where you can go back and be like, oh yeah, man, my hammer-ons are so much cleaner now. Wow, look at me. And you can like feel good about yourself. So.
Okay, so we have all kind of come up in this digital age where there is that record. When you look back 10 years at an old video of yourselves playing, what do you notice and what annoys you about how you played back then that you have come to improve upon now?
I think musicality, right? My chord choices have changed a lot over the years. And my ear has changed. So like certain chords that I would have thought were too spicy, 10 years ago, now I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. That makes me feel good. Like, and so I do make different choices now. I'm willing to take more chances than I would have 10 years ago. Even though like I still, between Craig and I am definitely the more like, I'm not taking that chance. But I am more adventurous now. I am more willing to try things than I would have 10 years ago. I think the biggest thing though that makes me cringe is like video quality. More so than the actual playing, where I'm just like, I see it and I'm like, ugh, that was not a good angle, or that was not a good choice. And it's nothing that Craig did with me. This is all like pre-Craig, where it's like, oh, I wish that wasn't shaky cell phone footage.
Well, that's all you had for a while.
I know. And then came Craig Chi, and that completely changed, and he pulled me into the 21st century, kicking and screaming.
Well, for me though, looking back, like everything comes back in cycles, right? Like I love in the beginning of my career, I was doing a bunch of different things. For a little bit I was using a looper, for a little bit I was part of like this rock and funk band that was ukulele led. There are a lot of things I did vocally that was definitely different. And then it changes to more deliberate and intricate, like chord choices, all that kind of stuff. And what I found about going through that phase too, though, is that yes, as you expand your knowledge about music, you have more options. But at a certain point, you look back and you look at the audience, and for a lot of people, they don't care. Like as long as the music is fun and engaging, that like, so again, it comes in cycles, because then I started caring a little bit less about like, I mean, of course, arranging all that is super important, but you know, sometimes it's easy to forget that music is supposed to be fun, and it's for the audience, and it's for, you know, and so some of that magic, again, I think we're getting back to. I think that was easy to see in, you know, we did a few albums together, and our most recent one was kind of old now, but 2019 we did a Christmas album, or a holiday album, and we took so many more chances with that one, and we had a lot more relaxed kind of vibe into it, but it allowed us to do so much more with it, and it was so much more fun.
Yes, it was actually, it was definitely a way more fun album to put together, because we were like, you know what? I want to do Sleigh Ride, but I want to do it like Jawaiian style. Like, I want to do, so we were just taking chances on things and saying, you know what? This song has been done 8,000 times. How can we do it and put our stamp on it and have a good time? And so we did. We just, like, our rehearsals, we were just laughing and like, oh yeah, let's try this. Oh wait, let's try this. And it was a lot of fun putting that together. And it came through, and even people have told us, they're like, it's such a fun album. I'm like, yeah, we had fun making it.
Nice. Well, people have the opportunity to see you folks in person at your events, correct?
Yes.
You've got like this whole like magical business model that everybody else is like, wow, wow, that's great.
You know what? And it's only two of us, like, that do all that magic.
I know, it's amazing.
Which is insane. So yeah, we have been hosting, this will be the third Hawaii retreat that we've been hosting. We're so excited. We get to move it to the Kahala Hotel and Resort. So it really feels like a retreat because you're out of Waikiki. And you like, there's no one at the beach. It's a beautiful place. And that one, it's sold out, but people can still get on the wait list. But you can see us perform, but we're teaching. We also have Jeff Peterson joining us, Brittany Paiva, Abe Lagrimas Jr., Brian Tolentino.
And we got to get you over for one of these, Brad.
We actually
just let me know.
We need to talk to you,
Yes.
not on a podcast, about maybe next year, or not next year, but 2025. But we've got that. We're also we're gonna start picking up our ukulele cruises again, because we did like 6 or 7 of them before pandemic. And so we're gonna start that up again.
Can we hint a little bit about Ukulele Summit?
So our nonprofit, we are going to be hosting a large scale event with our nonprofit that there'll be a paid element, but there will also be a free day that's like, everybody come. And after this podcast, we'll actually want to chat with you about that a little bit. But because it's just, we're not ready to say all of it yet. But basically, we are planning some big fun community things with 4 strings at a time. And one of them being, we are going to be calling it Ukulele Summit, so that we can have all of the ukuleles come to the gathering place. Everybody come to Oahu. And the one of the big visions that I have is actually trying to make sure each island is represented. So we want to have not only professional artists, but we want to have keiki groups. We want to have just, again, folks, either keiki from Kauai, Molokai, Big Island, wherever people are from, and there are the inhabited islands, come, because we really want to be able to have this. And for us, it's going to be a giant jam, basically, where everyone is playing music. You're not just watching the music, you are a part of it. And we are just really excited.
Yeah, we feel like there are a lot of events that, it's a one-way kind of thing, right? Like you show up and you watch performances all day, and it's really fun, and there's vendors and everything. But for us, we want it to be interactive. We want people of all ages to grab that ukulele that's been in the closet, come down. And I want people to walk away, and instead of saying like, oh, I got to see Jake perform, it's going to be, I got to jam with Jake. That's what we want to have. So every song that's being led by a keiki group or performer, we want to have a songbook that people can download and bring
Mhm.
and be a part of that.
And this would be all free.
Yeah.
So like again, we want we want our ukulele community to come. And so we've got a lot of big work to do so that would be in 2025. We've got a lot of work to do in 2024 in order for us to be able to host a giant event like this.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're gonna need we're gonna need our village to help us. So yeah, so this is something that we're really excited about, and I really do hope, even if we can't do it the first year, I really hope that we can include every island in this, because again, the ukulele, it's all of us. And that would be something that I think is truly special.
Well, that sounds wonderful. Can't wait to hear more about it.
Yeah.
Nice. I had another question. What was it? Oh, the ukulele community at large.
Yes.
Is the bubble popping? Is there less interest post-COVID, do you folks think? You probably have a better pulse on it than a lot of people I talk to, but I'm just curious.
So one of the hardest things again that happened post-COVID is that again a lot of events haven't returned yet, and a lot of big events that have are still taking precautions and making sure that they don't have those big sold out shows and events, because again a lot of the mainland, especially ukulele community, is on the older end of the spectrum, so we want to make sure we don't put them at risk. So to me, there is an increase in online events currently that is still kind of rolling over. The in-person events are starting to come back in full force, but I think it'll be another 2 years before we see the same numbers. But the interest has been there. What's been really neat is that currently I feel like there's two kind of mini waves of people with ukulele. We're seeing a huge wave come from people who actually started in the pandemic. And so a lot of beginner ukulele is kind of catered to them right now. We're seeing people come out to our events that have just started playing during the pandemic. And so we're kind of catching them up to everyone else. And for the people who have been around with the ukulele before the pandemic, now you'll see a shift in what they want to learn. So in March for our retreat, we were doing a huge catering to those people who want that next level of ukulele. So there is this kind of weird middle ground in between. So again, we have these beginners from the pandemic, and then you have these really seasoned players. So part of what we try to offer between our live streams and in-person events is hitting that big spectrum of levels, so that everyone feels included, which is really hard sometimes, right? Because sometimes you teach what you know, and then if you're not at that level or ready for it, you just kind of get lost, right? So we're trying to be really be particular about what we're teaching, so we don't kind of ignore some of these people.
Yeah. And I don't think that the bubble is necessarily, I don't think it's at a point where it's going to pop yet. I think that, like, as Craig said, it's like there's two bubbles. Like you have the original, and then there's like another one inside growing. Because the interesting thing that I have found is the people that started playing ukulele during COVID, they didn't have clubs to play with, right? So they played on their own. And one of the biggest things that has struck me is that a lot of those folks who did start playing ukulele during COVID were younger. They were professionals who didn't have the time to be able to play before, right? Because they were working more than 40 hours a week. And then the big shift happened, and they're like, wow, I actually can play now. And so you're having a slightly younger group of folks who are learning ukulele. And at our events, they're saying, wow, it's so much fun to play with people. They're starting to make that discovery. And I feel like that is going to actually make that bubble increase, because then they're going to tell their friends, hey, you should play. Then we can play together at work, right? So
so even our retreats, a big shift in the afternoons is that we're putting people together in groups.
Right, forcing group play in a very happy, fun learning environment. But it's like, no, you're going to jam together. Who's soloing? All right, who's the rhythm player? And we're just making sure that's like, all right, y'all arrange a song, and in 20 minutes, we want to hear a performance. And it's really fun. Like, it sounds terrifying at first, and you see their faces, but like when they're done, they're really
Yeah.
proud
Yeah.
because they did it. Even if it's something super simple, it's like you can solo with one note. That's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
But just, you know, have something to say.
Yeah, that's why I will always give so much credit to all of the ukulele club leaders out there,
Dude,
because it's a lot of work. But
heroes.
but they're also creating, again, opportunities not for only people to pick up and play with each other, but stopping points for artists on tour, or
Mhm.
you know, interest in that pocket. Like they do so much for the community, and I cannot thank those people enough for all of their work.
Yeah.
Well, that's an exciting angle
Yeah.
that just kind of came to me as you were saying it. Yeah, these folks are going to be, they get to what everybody else did 5, 10 years ago. Like, oh, I
Yeah.
love my ukulele
Yeah.
club. These people get to
Yeah.
discover that anew, which is
Yeah.
going to set off, you know, that trajectory. That's
Yeah.
hadn't considered that.
Yeah.
Lots to look forward to.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
really it's been fascinating coming back to doing in-person events because I never would have thought. But the
Yeah.
fact that our Long Beach retreat, we had at least 5 or 6 people come up to us who were like, I started playing in 2020. I started playing in 2021. And this is so cool. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And so we introduced them to like a lot of the events, and we're like, if you want to travel internationally, here are all these huge events that the ukulele
Yeah.
has. Because even internationally, it's still growing strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, you know, in some pockets, yeah, maybe there's a little bit of a drop, but overall, the ukulele is still going really, really strong.
Yeah.
And what was I gonna say?
Well, one thing, as you're thinking about that,
Yeah.
Craig, one thing that I also was surprised about is a lot of the folks who are just now picking up ukulele, that it isn't necessarily because of Jake. It isn't necessarily because of Otasan. And in fact, some folks don't even know some of the earlier ones. Like last year, we were very fortunate, or this past year at our March retreat, Myrna Kamai, Eddie Kamai's widow, came, and she got to enjoy an evening with our group. And many people who were there who were new to the ukulele hadn't heard of Eddie Kamai. So then we were able to take this great opportunity to say, hey, this is him, this is his legacy. And Myrna was so sweet. She brought his biography and gave everyone a copy.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was so, I mean, so touching. And being able to introduce people to, and that's also kind of what spurred this idea with 4 Strings at a Time of let's educate people, because, you know, it's wonderful that you're in ukulele now. Here are the pioneers that came before. It's important to learn about them and their
a lot of this
stories.
information isn't new.
No.
But it's how it's presented, you
Yeah.
know, and from the angles that we come from, and how to make it relevant for a lot of these people who
Mhm.
don't understand that the founding fathers of the ukulele in that sense, and why, you know, people like Jake play and people like
Mhm.
her plays, you know. So
Yeah.
we want to take on that challenge and see if we can again help connect the dots a bit more.
And we'll learn a lot in the process.
Yes.
I love it because like
Yes.
every day I'm just like, oh, I learned some cool new
Yeah.
thing today, you know? And it's, for me, I'm like, if I think it's exhilarating and fun, surely there's a whole bunch of other people that do too. So that's all part of all part of the passion, right?
Nice.
Yeah. And question for you, Brad,
Oh.
if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Because you've been an educator for a long time, and what are some of the things that at this point in your career, what is your big goals now, and how has that changed since when you first started?
Like teaching goals, like what I want people to learn kind of thing.
And as being an educator as well, like what are like how has things shifted since when you first started? Because like you mentioned, like, you know, the technology is a big one, like that has helped change from, you know, just doing in-person private lessons and things like that. And I know you have a lot of content out there as well. And what are some of the big things that you still feel like you haven't done yet that you really want to do with either the educational side or the performance side?
Oh, well, as far as things I want to do, I think that Hawaii Island doesn't really have an ukulele workshop.
Yeah.
Specifically, there's Aloha Music Camp, but it kind of like it's moved around here and there. But
Yeah.
like a dedicated Hawaii Island Hawaiian music workshop, I think would be
Nice.
wonderful because that's where I
Yeah.
grew up. That's where I cut my teeth was
Yeah.
at Uncle Kyoki Kahumoku's
Yeah.
workshop down in Pahala, and it was so wonderful. And that's just what I have in my head. That was like that's what we
Yeah.
lived for as a teenager. Is like that was the best week of the year, hands down, no question.
Oh,
And I would love to be able to bring that to local kids and give
yeah.
them that opportunity through scholarship or whatever. It's
Yeah.
just connecting the dots and, coming out of COVID and you'd hate to
Yeah.
put all that work and then have to like, oh, wait, hold on a second again. And
Yeah. Yeah.
we just have a different perspective now. But I definitely, that's something I've been thinking about. It's one of those things you just got to do it and put it together. Venues are tough here. We just don't have,
Mm.
everything since plantation days. All the venues have kind of gone away, and the ones
Oh.
that do exist was like crazy money. I reached out to a place a couple of months ago. I was like, I think you just don't want anybody to come with that price. I mean, I realize it's a business, but holy moly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's probably my main thing. Otherwise, just like from a teaching perspective, like what I want to share, I think
Yeah.
it's mostly changed to encouraging people to be bold, giving them
Yeah.
permission to just play music. Like don't just stand there and wait for me to tell you what to do. Just
Yeah.
make it your own. Play something that you want to express. That's been my
Yeah.
main thing, trying to
Yeah.
figure out how to share that with folks in a non-intimidating way where it's like not
Yeah.
pressure, like you've got to play a solo, but more
Mhm.
Yes.
like you are welcome to share whatever you feel like
Yeah.
sharing. Kind of break down that barrier of music's only for professional musicians. And, I know the ukulele really, as a whole, has made it a lot more community based and accessible for folks. But I still think there's a little bit of disconnect in general with music teaching that makes it kind of intimidating for folks. And that's why I try to like simplify, like I do the single string songs and stuff like that, where
Yeah.
it's like, how can we make it more simple so people feel comfortable
Yeah.
just trying something on
Yeah.
their own?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's my thing right now.
Awesome.
Nice.
Oh man, I love that idea though of Big Island having like you got to make that happen. See,
Yeah.
these
There's a lot of,
conversations make both Craig and I's wheels spin
oh
because
no, I'm
again,
sorry.
we're doers. We're like, how do you
Hmm.
make that happen? Because there's got to be a way.
Yeah.
Got to be a way.
Very cool. Well, thank you folks so much. Is there any final closing thoughts you'd like to share?
Really, it's just a shout out to everyone involved in the ukulele community, because again, it's just, you see it time and time again that this community is so open to helping each other, and having things done for the greater good, and we just always am blown away by seeing that support come together. And thank you, Brad, for all that you do as well in that
Yes.
community. And it just, it's amazing, and we feel very, very fortunate to be a part of it.
Awesome. Well, Craig Chi, Sarah Mizell, where can we find you folks? What's the best way for people to get in touch and to follow your efforts?
CraigandSarah.com. Pretty easy. That just join our mailing list. You can also send us emails through our website too if you have questions. It's just Craig and I, so it might take me a day or two to get back to you. We don't have a team. We are the team. But you can always join our online school too, of course, which you can find through, again, craigandsarah.com. We do free workshops on YouTube. Again, craigandsarah.com, tell you more about it. And even if we aren't your teachers, and we've had some people who have said to us like, oh, I'm not one of your students, but it's like, we don't care. We want you to just play music. And if you choose to, have us be a part of your ukulele journey, awesome. And if you choose someone else, that's also awesome, because to us, the important thing is making music and having fun and letting this instrument, help you express yourself. And so that to us is like one of the most important things. but you can always visit us, of course. But as long as you play music, that's all that matters.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much.
Yeah.
And we'll catch you down the road.
Awesome.
Sounds great.
Thanks,
Thank you so much,
Brad.
Brad.